Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you an update on my off-grid solar system. It's been a long time since I talked about this. I looked back in my videos and it was January. It was the last video that I posted about this, and time just really gets away from you, I guess. But if you follow my channel, you also know I've been dealing with a lot of stuff with my Tesla car that I no longer have, thankfully. So that sucked up a lot of bandwidth. But I also just kind of got sick of making all the winter videos for the solar system because it just was not cutting it in the winter. And a lot of the videos just ended up being the same, talking about how it wasn't working and wasn't giving me enough power and dealing with all the snow. So I skipped a whole lot of months, and right now I'm going to update you on how everything's been going and what I have planned, what I'm changing, what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to film a lot of this in my garage just because it gets so windy here. And that was actually another reason that I hadn't continued all of the videos, because it just gets so windy and the whole mic setup that I have just doesn't cut the wind enough. I don't know. I'm a bad YouTuber, as you know. So I really don't have the proper equipment and I don't know how to cut this wind. So that's why I film a lot of what I film in the garage. But first and foremost, to cover pretty much my experience for the winter, is that if you're planning on going off-grid, and I do mention this in some of the other videos, so watch those if you're curious. If you're planning on going off-grid, you can't have roof-mounted solar panels. I didn't think of that. Nobody told me that. I was not experienced with solar all that much, so it didn't compute. I didn't think about it, unfortunately. I thought that the sun would heat up any exposed panel and melt off the snow. I do have a lot of experience with solar hot water, and that's what would happen in those systems. That water, as it flows through the coils in the solar panel, it would heat up the rest of the panel and everything would just melt off. And I kind of thought the same thing would happen, but unfortunately that's not how it works with electric solar. So now you know. The next issue is that my 10 kilowatt on-grid, off-grid inverter isn't big enough. So 10 kilowatts seems like a lot, but because we're fully off-grid, we don't have that backup power, that backup source coming from the grid. For example, like if you have a pump or something turning on that spikes over 10 kilowatts, then my whole system will trip and shut down. If you're on grid, the grid will give you that extra boost of power that you need, and everything transitions seamless like nothing happened. But unfortunately for us, this was another thing that I didn't realize was going to be as big of an issue. We had two EVs at the time. Both of them could charge at 10 kilowatts each. So we could charge one car at a time as long as we didn't use any other power in the house. And we also have an electric dryer, which sucks a lot. That's like 6 to 7 kilowatts, something like that. And we don't have city water here, so we have a well pump also. That one doesn't seem to use quite as much power. It seems like it spikes around 7, but when it's actually running, it's only around 2.5 kilowatts. So if we're doing multiple things at the same time with this inverter, we trip. So that's been a pretty big drag for us, but I have a few solutions in mind that I'm gonna start working on today, and we'll see if we can get around that and hopefully get that solved a little bit. So what is working well? I feel like I should throw in some positive here. My batteries have been working great for all these months. Even with the colder temperatures, as long as I'm watching the temperature of the battery pack, they charge, they deliver power. They have been awesome. So I'm very happy that those have had no issues, because they're very expensive and that was a lot of work. So right here behind me, I have the T-Rex version 1. And then outside I have the camper, and that one's been powering the house pretty much since January-ish, because it has a larger capacity and it was just helping us through the winter. As you know, battery capacities drop in the winter and you also have to heat them on cold days. So that one has a larger capacity, so I started using that one. I am going to be modifying this one next. I'll get into that later, maybe another video. I don't know, we'll see how long this gets. But I'm very thankful the batteries have been working. I'm also thankful that the inverter has been working. I was really worried about it because service from Princeton Power has been very poor, but thank God the inverter has been solid, reliable, and I haven't had any issues with the inverter. All right, so I think that updates you guys. Now I'll talk about where I'm going and what I'm doing next. Okay, we can start in here. Hopefully you can hear me again. It's windy. You can see the levels of foam and blankets. I have a couple horse blankets there that I had covering this trailer. You can even see some of my foam rigid board insulation. Now, I didn't think of this until halfway through the winter, but I had this fully exposed, all this metal, and there is no insulation in these batteries. It is just sheet metal and battery. There is nothing to keep the heat in or keep heat out. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that I didn't think of this sooner, but midwinter, I covered it with stuff to just keep the heat in there a little bit more, and it helped significantly. I was really surprised how much capacity it gave me. The battery heaters had to turn on a lot less, and I think that's part of the reason that my T-Rex camper out here has done so much better with its capacity, because there's 1.5 inches of foam over top of the battery pack in the floor of that camper. So it's well insulated, and I think that's part of the reason it helped us get through the winter much better. Another thing I'm doing, we'll see if I can get it in the shot over here, is I am adding a parallel system. I picked up this Sunny Boy 7 kilowatt inverter. I mounted the green board there, and I plan on adding more solar panels. This unit was a new old stock, so it was brand new, but it's many years old. This is the transformer version. Now they have a transformer-less version. I couldn't really find anything online that said one was significantly better than the other in any way. But that's mounted, that's installed. I'm currently watching for some cheaper solar panels, and I plan on putting some ground mount arrays right out here in this area. I've got a lot of space right here. I do have 20 acres, but just thinking 3 rows, just 3 different arrays, probably 10, 11 solar panels, and I'm just gonna put them right here and that way south, so I get plenty of sun. But yeah, so that's gonna help us out a lot, I think, with our current problem. Current actually meaning the flow of electrons, not our current problem, which I guess is also accurate. Well, that'll give us 17 kilowatts total, plus each inverter is able to be overloaded just a little bit, so hopefully I have 20 kilowatts roughly of spike power if I need to. Another thing I forgot to mention when we were in the garage is that I have central air, and we use it, especially here in the summer. It's supposed to be 92 degrees today, and that sucker has been giving me problems. I've had to add capacitors, and it still trips my system because the startup current is so high. I'll go into that, I think, in another video, because I think it's kind of cool, and I think other people should know how to do it if they want to have central air on off-grid system. It's extremely difficult. Not a lot of people do it, but I think I can make it work pretty seamlessly. The next thing that I'm doing, that I'm already in the process of working on, is getting an interconnect agreement with NYSEG. NYSEG is our local energy provider, and I'm working on an interconnect with them so I could actually feed power back to the grid. I'm hoping once my new solar panels are installed for the 7 kilowatt system, I'll be producing a lot more than I'm using here in the summer. And I think it would be really great to build up a credit all summer long that I can use in the winter if we get into a bind like we did last winter. I didn't talk about bills or anything, but our bills in the winter were close to what we were paying before. We had bills that were $150, $175, and normally our electric bills were around $200 up to like $250. So the winter really didn't work out very well for us at all. But by having this interconnection agreement, I think it's going to be great to build up a credit, sell them some power. I'll make sure I keep my batteries full, so I always have my off-grid availability for power. I'm surprised how much work getting this interconnection agreement has been. I thought it'd just be a simple form, you could fill it out, but they want all kinds of paperwork. I've had to give them all the details on my system, spreadsheets, spec sheets, drawings, all the details, inspections, everything. And so far, finally, last Thursday, we got the approval. So now they have to come out and install the smart meter. Very excited about that one. That's going to be a big step. And kind of in hindsight, I probably didn't need to do the parallel system quite as much, because now we're going to have that spike power, that available power for high demand needs from the grid. But I bought that inverter and I started planning that system back when I kind of thought I was going to get denied for the interconnect agreement. I was trying to find a solution, and I ended up, I think I'm going to have 2 solutions. But that's good. Redundancy, right? And lastly, what I'm going to be working on today is I'm going to be dismantling my T-Rex version 1 And this battery is going to end up becoming a dedicated home storage battery that I'm going to parallel along with the 85 kilowatt hours in the T-Rex camper. This one is going to come off the wheels, come off the trailer, and I'm going to build an insulated box for this, and I'm just going to tip it up against my wall outside. I'm going to have it just right outside here, and I'm going to have this connected to the house at all times. I know it's sad to take apart version 1, but I haven't been using it for any trips, and right now I actually don't even own an electric vehicle, which is absolutely crazy, but that's my CRV right out there. And these are some of the pieces of wood that I'm going to use to start making this box here today. So yeah, that's the last big thing, is it'll give me storage that'll be always connected to the house. And that way this can remain here. And then if I want to take the camper somewhere, again, don't have an EV, but maybe someday when I get another one, I can take the camper with me, and this is always going to be here powering the house. And with having both of them in parallel, they are different series cell configurations, but I have a little voltage window that I can work with, and they're both going to work just fine in parallel. Well, there it is. There was so much to cover. Hopefully I did an okay job at it. Hopefully you liked the update video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I'm going to get started making this box before it gets too crazy hot. 92 today. And that way south, and I have no shade. Wish me luck. See you guys.